I can't stop smoking nicotine. Like, I want to stop. I know it's terrible for me, but I love it, and it feels so good. It's like, it's this hard, like, here and there thing.
What is it about it? Let's not make it a villain.
Okay.
Let's not call it terrible. It's fine if you've decided that you don't want to experience it, but here's the thing, and we want to clarify this right away. A lot of times it's easy to pronounce something wrong when there are strong voices that are pushing against it. And so we want to address something first. Before you're wanting to let go of your habit of nicotine, we want to talk to you about your habit of not trusting yourself and believing what other people say first. Now, is that something that is real? Do you do that a lot?
Yes.
So is it possible that nicotine is just where you're making your stand? It's like, you can't make me stop this. A lot of people have a lot of opinions, don't they?
Yes.
And do you feel that you're resistant to their opinions?
In the nicotine aspect?
In any aspect?
Yes.
A lot of people, in their process of calibrating to other people, want to get other people to be in agreement with them on a myriad of subjects. When you've come into this experience as you have, with a very clear intent to find your own guidance system, you just kind of don't want to be bossed around. And yet there are well-meaning people all around you your whole life who are sort of bossing you around. And so let's talk about this habit of defiance against them. And then we'll talk about your habit of defiance against the nicotine. So is that all right with you?
That's amazing.
Sort of go there for.
Yeah.
So what is it that gives you a negative knee-jerk reaction when someone tells you that you're wrong, or even just hints at it, or just implies it, or even sometimes just thinks it and you know they are? You're sensitive like that, aren't you?
Yes.
And so how does it feel when you're moving along and someone gives you a suggestion that sort of is none of their business? What's your knee-jerk reaction to that?
Anger, like frustration with them.
And fill it in with a little more description. Because
I'm not being able to do what I want to do.
And because do they think I'm stupid? And because it's like that, isn't it?
They think I'm wrong.
We don't want to put words in your mouth, but we are describing your vibration with words. So if something doesn't seem right to you, it's all right if you tell us that. But do you ever have the feeling that it's insulting to have so many suggestions coming at you from so many places all the time?
Yes.
Kind of like you're not able to guide yourself when what's really going on, you know how to do that.
Yes.
We want to give you the remedy for this, because your point of attraction is what the law of attraction is responding to. And it doesn't really matter. You could have 100 people around you, well-meaning people, trying to guide you. Watch out for that, and don't do that, and don't eat that, and don't smoke that, and don't do that, and don't go over there, and don't go over there, and watch out for that, and watch out for that. And none of them have anything to do with your point of attraction if you don't focus on them and push back against them. There's a phrase in your physical world to give people the benefit of the doubt, or give someone the benefit of the doubt. And we want to say in a very strong way, when you give someone the benefit of the doubt, you're the one that gets the benefit. Because you stop pushing against. In the moment that you give somebody the benefit of the doubt, it's all right for you to think like that, then you stop your resistance. We had some other conversations sort of kind of like that today. Talk to us a little bit. Let's see if we can feel the impulse to push against, and then just make a statement of intent instead. So if you don't mind staying off the subject of nicotine for just a little bit, and tell us some of the other things that come up pretty often where you have an opinion. Is anything coming to mind?
I like a gentleman, but a lot of people tell me that gentleman's not very good to me.
Well, that's big, isn't it?
I feel like they're kind of similar.
You feel like what?
They're kind of similar situations.
It's big, isn't it? It's big when you like someone and the people who want you to listen to them have already decided that you don't get to choose that.
Yes.
Like they know. Like they're there in every moment in the midst of your emotions, and they know. So your opinion is what? What's your opinion in a situation like that? When someone says to you, someone who expects you to listen and expects you to respond to what they say, when someone tells you about something and you don't feel like you want to take, what's the knee-jerk reaction? What's your opinion of what they're doing in your life experience? What's your opinion about that?
I think I'm scared because they make me feel like I'm making the wrong decision.
So you're not sure you're right. So now you've got this tug of war going on because you like this and they don't. So your opinion in this situation, maybe more, is that they're pointing out to you that you're wrong. So it's like challenging your own guidance system, isn't it?
Even though that sometimes feel like smoking the nicotine or like talking to the gentleman, it feels right, even though I know it's probably wrong.
Well, it's interesting how you put those two things together. But there's a bigger point that we're wanting to activate here for you to hear, and that is, this is what we mean. Have you heard us say most humans are calibrating to other humans rather than to their own inner being? And so we have a question for you. Do you believe that you have an inner being?
Yes.
And do you sense or know that your inner being has constant awareness of you?
Yes.
And do you think that your inner being is saying to you things like, that gentleman is not a good idea?
Maybe when he's being mean.
Say what?
Maybe when he's being not so nice.
Do you think your inner being would condemn what was going on next door?
No.
And so your inner being never pushes against anyone. Do you think it's your nature to push against other people?
No.
Do you think that people in your life think that you're so not likely to push against that you'd be easy to be taken advantage of?
Sometimes.
Do you think you're easy to be taken advantage of?
Sometimes.
So sometimes you agree, so you can't tell where your guidance is.
Yeah.
Do you ever have an experience where you're really sure about something?
Yes.
Like what?
Like right now. Like when you were looking at me and I'm like, today's my birthday, and she picked the other girl who was her birthday. So like, today was my day.
And it took us a little bit to sort you out over there, didn't it?
Yeah.
You can feel when you're clicked in.
Yes.
Do you think that you deliberately focus to feel that clicking in on a regular basis? Or do you think that your first response is just to yield to what other people say?
To yield to what other people say.
So now we'll get back to the subject of the nicotine. That really is about you taking a stand.
Oh, I see actually what you mean now.
It's saying, I can do this. I can do this. You could also stop eating altogether. The things that you can do. You know what it's like saying? It's like saying, I love you very much, but I don't want your ideas about me to be the dominant ones. How am I ever going to figure out who I am or what my guidance system is about if I'm all the time, first crack out of the box, just yielding to what you think is best? It's you saying, I've come to live my life. I've come to sort through the details of my life and to define what I want. And do you believe that you've put things into your vortex?
Yes.
And do you believe that your inner being knows what they are and that your inner being is calling you? It's hard on people when little children don't do what their parents are telling them to do. And it's hard on people when big children don't do what they're telling them to do. It's hard on just about all humans. Jerry used to say to people, they'd be having dinner with someone, and Jerry would say to them, because it would be an expert in a field, in some sort of field that Jerry was interested in, and Jerry would say, if I ask your opinion about something, or ask your advice about something, and then I don't take your advice, would your feelings be hurt? And people would sometimes say, well, if I'm going to give you my advice, I expect, Jerry said, then never mind. But mostly people would say, no, I wouldn't mind. And Jerry said, okay. He just wanted to get it out there that he wanted to know what they thought because he admired their expertise in that avenue of life. but he didn't want them to then hold him to doing what they thought was right because he wanted to maintain his freedom. And that really is a very good example of how you came into this physical experience. You came into this physical experience knowing that there would be a lot of people. You see, almost everybody in this physical world right now, billions of you, almost everybody, without meaning to, is calibrating to other humans. And it translates, it shows up in ways like, I want to be seen and I want you to understand. I want to explain myself so clearly that there's no possibility of you not understanding where I'm coming from. And yet, have you noticed? We know you have. Esther's noticed it too. No matter how much explaining she does to make them understand why this is where she's standing or where she wants to stand or where she intends to stand, there aren't enough words in the world to get them to where she is because it's vibrational, it's not verbal. Humans want to call it compatibility. You go on online dating and you want them to sort you out and find things that are compatible. And that's not a terrible idea because the more things that you are compatible about, then the more matching you're likely to do. But it's not working out for humans. You're trying to get people who weren't born where you were born to understand why you think the way you are. You've come with a variety of different intentions and trying to be normalized in the world or to be understood enough by a big enough part of the world is really looking for love in all the wrong places because they're not capable of giving that to you. It's not what they signed on for either. And so there's a whole lot of confusion going on around that subject of people calibrating to other humans, that any one of you could release yourself from the burden of that just by making the statement and really meaning it. I'm going to figure out what my inner being is thinking about this or this or this, and I'm going to utilize that as guidance. Can you imagine how many loops that you simultaneously close when you say, I don't care what any of you think? Because you're not standing in my point of attraction. You don't know what I know or what I want, and you weren't born in my shoes, and you don't know what my intentions are, and you don't know what's in my vortex, but my inner being does. Sometimes people hear a conversation like this from us, and really we've never offered one as pointed as this one before. So we could understand how there are some parents or mentors that would be thinking, I'm glad my kids aren't here listening to you, Abraham. Because I really do want them to mind me. And we want to say, that isn't what you want. What you want is to introduce them to their own guidance system and help them understand what their own guidance system is. And then they are free to create their own lives. And you are not the jailer who is jailed when you're trying to jail them. Kalil Gibran, the jailer is also jailed. Think about how it feels to try to get somebody to do something and they don't want to do it. People get all worried about it. And isn't it what's sort of going on worldwide? People are sharing a planet that really is big enough to satisfy everyone. And they get fixated on this little piece of land or on this idea, and then they can't stand it that anybody else would want to be or do or have something different than what they have defined for themselves. Well, there are a whole lot of you that are coming into this physical experience to meet this time precisely to say, I'm different in this way and this way and this way and this way. I'm not the round peg that you are going to pound into the square hole or other way around. I'm going to stick to my vibrational, non-physical, self-sufficient, happily ever after roots. Now, you don't have to tell everybody off. You don't have to even let them know you've decided not to let what they think bother you. And that's what you've decided about the smoking. In other words, it is a way that you can sort of kind of do what you want to do. Isn't it kind of satisfying to decide what you want to do? Well, we're going to put it even stronger to you. Isn't it kind of satisfying to do what you want to do, even if it's not good for you? Because you get to choose what you want to do. That's big, isn't it? That's big, isn't it? And so once you get to that place where you are not guilty about giving yourself permission to think and attract and create as you want to, you don't have to take a stand against anybody.